Hey, Val, how are you?
We have Mike is here too.
Oh, good. I didn't see you. Perfect. So we do have a quorum. And we're just waiting for, you said who's coming on late, Dan?
Greg, you're on mic.
You can start, Steph, and we can just get through this. And we have a quorum, so we can approve all the minutes and everything.
Just writing down how I've got. All right, guys. Welcome to, what is the date today? We are the 29th. Is it 29th?
Yep.
Cruising along. All right. So welcome to the September 29th Rec Advisory Board meeting. Thank you all for jumping on. Who just jumped on with us?
Molly.
Excellent. Hi, Molly.
Hey, everybody.
Excellent. Welcome. So I really appreciate everybody getting on. I know it's been a while. Hi, Mike. How are you?
And Courtney is now with us too.
And Courtney. Excellent. Hi, Courtney. Oh, we have quite the quorum. Everybody's ringing in. Who else just jumped on there? Let's see. We've got Bryn. All right, guys. So as the chair of the Rec Advisory Committee, I find that due to state of emergency declared by governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Public notice of this meeting was posted on the town website and on the bulletin board of the town offices at 10 Front Street. As provided in that public notice, the public may access the meeting online or via telephone. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. And let's start the meeting by taking a roll call of attendance. Hi, Dan. When each member states they're present, please also state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting and who that person is, which is required under the right to know law. So let's run down our board members. Val?
Hi, I'm here and I'm alone.
Thank you. Mike?
I am here and I'm alone.
Excellent. Dan?
Hello, I am here and I am alone.
Excellent. Jen Harrington?
Here, I'm currently alone in this room, but I have family members milling about in the kitchen.
Good. Courtney?
Hello, I'm here and I am all alone.
Excellent. Bryn?
Hi, I'm here. I'm alone. There are people in my house who may come and go.
Okay. Let me look and see. Did I miss anyone on the board? Looks like we got everybody that is on our board here. We're also being joined by Greg Basson, our Director of Parks and Rec, Melissa Roy, Assistant Director of Parks and Rec, Dave Toby with Parks and Rec, and Miss Molly Cowan is our Select Board representative. So thank you all for getting on here. We're going to call our September 29th meeting to order. And I'd like to start out before getting to the approval of the minutes by sending out a very big thank you to our newest frontline workers, our teachers that are out there, from my family, my home, our friends. I'm sure everybody else on this call. It's a very, very different time. And I know that we are absolutely indebted to what you do for our children, the time that you're putting into this, the kinks and the IT and losing kids online and still communicating with them and keeping things together. We are so grateful. And we've got Dan, Courtney, Jen, anybody else I missed that's a teacher, my apologies. Anybody? Well, thank you for everything that you're doing. And I can't say enough about how well things are being run in this situation that is so unusual for all of us right now. So thank you for everything you're doing. With that being said, let's move on to the approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes to approve this meeting, from 4:28, one from 5:26, and one from 6:30. Greg had sent those out to everyone. Had everybody had the opportunity to review them? I get some thumbs up and some nods. Excellent. So why don't we start with the minutes from 428. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes. If anybody had any issues or questions or discussions, feel free to bring those up.
I would move to approve April.
I second.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Val. Any discussion? All right, we'll run down for approval on everyone that's on here. You can just give me an aye if you approve Val.
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
Courtney, and Bryn.
Aye.
And chair says aye. So the minutes for 4/28/2020 have been approved. We'll move on to the minutes from 5/26. Any discussion or a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll again to approve those minutes. Val,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
and Bryn.
Aye.
Excellent. So the minutes for 5/26/2020 have been approved. And our final set of minutes that was sent out for review was from June 30th, 2020. I'll entertain either discussion or a motion to approve those minutes.
I had one question from June.
Sure.
Any conversation at all, Greg, on the Planet Playground funding sources, or I'm guessing not, but
Not at this time. We're still going back and forth with the lawyers, but we are still applying for a grant moving ahead because we can pre-apply for it. So going into the budget next year, we can say we've secured X
Great.
amount of dollars.
And I'm going to add that into old business so we can touch base on the details of that, if that
Yep.
works. Does
Sure.
that work? I'll put that down. So I'll write that down for you, Mike, so we can hit on that.
thanks,
I'll put
Greg.
that down. Yeah, that's great. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion on the 6:30 minutes? All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the June minutes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is that Bryn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll do by roll call. Yay or nay, Val, to approve the minutes at 6:30?
Yay.
Mike?
Yay.
Dan?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Courtney?
Aye. Or yay.
And Bryn.
Aye.
Excellent. So that was fairly painless. 3 sets of minutes have been approved. So the minutes for meeting 6/30/2020 have been approved as well. So we will move on to our next agenda item, if there's no discussion. Program updates, summer recap. Who would like to take that one? Greg, Melissa?
I will start it off and then hand it over to Melissa and Dave, but I gotta give kudos. They did an outstanding job. Dave was in the trenches, and Melissa was his biggest supporter. I mean, the Care Kids program couldn't have been successful without them two being there all the time. So kudos to them. But we actually made it through the summer. So that's the good news. We actually had no confirmed cases of COVID, which is another good thing. Yep. We had some scares, Not gonna lie to you. And we had some scares, but we got through it. Our staff was phenomenal. Anytime you went up to the rec park, they were really engaged, and those kids really enjoyed it. And since Melissa secured a $19,000 grant, we were able to extend it one extra week, which approximately, I think, 16 or 17 took advantage of it, if not more. They would probably be able to confirm that. So at a very reasonable price of $50, if I remember right, guys, for the week. So sorry if you saw someone pop in. Then we made it through as well for the summer movie series and the summer concert series. The movies in a normal time would not have been successful, but they were very successful all summer long, to the point that we're going to have two in the fall. We just had one this past Saturday, The Princess and the Frog, and we're going to have one in October, but we'll get to that. And the concert series were well attended. We wish there were more people to come out to the concert. Our largest concert, Solation, I'm going to butcher her name, Kaylee Gutierrez, I believe is her name. And I mean, we couldn't have fit any more cars in that parking lot. So it was a great experience for the concert. So between the two of them, we were very lucky to have some great events. But I'm going to let David and Melissa get some more details on the Care Kids for you.
Thanks, Greg.
I'll let Greg and I worked pretty well. And David, and I don't really have anything more to say, but I can see if David has anything to say. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, Greg, I think you did a great job covering it. We were able to offer it, those extra couple weeks thanks to that grant. The kids and the staff adapted really well to all the new policies and procedures. So kind of gave us an outlook for what the fall and winter and everything else could look like too. So it's nice to see that parents, kids, staff, everyone is adapting pretty well to, all the new policies and procedures. So summer camp went well. We're glad that no one got COVID. We had, I think, 2 or 3 scares where we had to have, I think it was like 1 staff member and 2 campers stay home and get a negative COVID test. So all in all, it went really well.
That's great. Thanks, Dave. Melissa, nothing else to add on that?
No, I mean, it was a great summer. It's a huge change going from 400 kids to 29 kids. But what was really fantastic is a lot of the rules and procedures that we put in place for this summer, we were able to transition them to fall and then hopefully to winter. So although it felt like we were on a hamster wheel pretty daily, I think in the long run, it really provided us a platform to continue programming seamlessly, which it ultimately ended up being a silver lining. And I do think that every parent we talked to was so appreciative that the program was running. We had kids doing arts and crafts more than we've ever had. We had the ability to play games and do activities that we could never do just because of the pure size of our camp. So we got to kind of pivot a little bit and do a few things that we weren't able to do before. So it was pretty exciting summer, although it was a very strange summer. And we looked forward to, unfortunately, having conversations pretty soon of what next summer could look like, because we know that we're not going to be restriction free. We know that there will most likely be some restrictions. And how do we do that in an efficient way? Because we need the kids to come back, right? None of us who have kids can even fathom the thought of a second summer without summer camp. So we need to be preemptive and figure out the best way to do that pretty soon, because we start planning usually in January and it's October, or very soon October.
Thank you to all of you for the quick pivot on that. I know that none of us expected things to transition the way that they did, but I, along with many others, were incredibly impressed with how well you pivoted in providing this program. It ended up being larger than we expected because we were able to do that. I definitely got some feedback from some individuals that had children that were at the Care Kids program, and they were over the moon with how great it was. They were so happy and so pleased that it was available, but just how great it was too, that it wasn't just like, here's my kids and the kids were going to be bored, that you had them entertained all day long, which was great. Any discussion, any questions, anything anybody wants to bring up about the summer recap?
One last thing, Steph.
Yeah.
Those parents that had signed up for camp in 2020 that got canceled, we will be doing our mailing in October.
Okay.
And then with those to be returned to us by the end of the year. And that way we're gonna discuss as a staff of when we're actually going to hold the pre-registration as we did last year. We might hold off and so we don't have to issue so many massive refunds. So, but that way at least we can get the numbers in and kind of realize what we could expect and really start planning the final details.
That's great information. I think that's awesome information. Are we going to post that on Facebook under the rec page and let people know, just so they know to expect that?
Yep.
Perfect. And people will be really happy to know that. And people also be reminded as well, the discussion we had last year, that those that were locked into camp last year are locked in once again by the new way that we're doing it. If they were in camp last year, they're going to be getting that form and first dibs on getting into camp. So nobody has to get nervous and get that gut feeling that we've all had in the past. We're going to continue with that.
But they need to return the form to us filled out. So that's why we're actually going to do email, Facebook, social media, and a mailing to their actual physical address.
Good. And that's by the end of the year that needs to get in, correct?
Yeah, the date, we haven't set the date, but we're going to do it probably end of December or probably before Christmas so people don't get distracted.
That's a good one. Perfect. All right. Fall update.
Well, there's been a lot since we last met. The select board gave us approval to run fall sports. After doing a survey, we had, for once, our survey actually came down to the exact numbers of people that were interested in playing. So we got about 200 people that said they're interested. And in total, between our fall soccer and our flag football, we have about 200 kids. So we nailed that right on the head. We did make some modifications. If anyone is listening that did not know, we do have space available in U6 and U8, a couple spots. But to make sure we limit the spread, we actually did away with games this year. It's more of a skills and drills. Get out there, run around, but we put enough kids on the team to scrimmage. So they're still playing soccer. They're still going out and playing. It's just now if we do have a protocol, if we do have a COVID hit on that team, we can just isolate that team and not worry about who do they play, who do they scrimmage. So that's the good thing. We have more soccer players than flag football. It's more soccer teams than flag football teams, but that was expected because that one they kind of like to be out there and really playing the games. Soccer, again, it's more primarily younger. So that is a great thing. And then David and Melissa did a phenomenal job of creating enrichment programs. So to give everyone a little history is the SAU, when they announced that they were going remote, had approached a number of caregivers in the SAU to see if they could become remote learning centers. So we vetted that as well to see if turning our building into a remote learning center would have been viable. But at the end, it wouldn't have been fiscally prudent of us to actually try it, since it would have cost thousands of dollars to upgrade our internet access at our building. So they wouldn't be getting dropped or anything. And it really was a limited number of kids that we could have serviced. There's about 19 kids we could have fit in the remote learning center. So not to ignore all the other demographics in town, we decided to do the enrichment. So Dave, Melissa, and myself actually teach classes. They gave me the easy class. I got the first and second graders for Lego challenge, so that's not so bad. But Dave is running some great athletic programs. He has a running club that was this afternoon. He has a PE class on Wednesdays and Fridays that we have space available on these as well. It's just growing and growing slowly. Melissa's doing some arts and crafts, but she's also doing some senior programming as well. Like today was a busy day for Melissa. She goes from meetings to bingo at 277 Water Street, where we had 16 seniors come outside and play bingo with us, to quickly coming, having a quick bite to eat, going right to arts and crafts. So, we're hustling here because we want to keep the programs affordable, and that's our big thing. So we thought we'd best by putting our hands back to what we used to do, is really be the coaches and the instructors and go from there. So it's been really positively attended. And again, back to what Melissa mentioned, we're using the same protocols as we did for Care Kids. Every participant needs to pass the health screening as well. So we're being vigilant. The ones that are being held inside, the kids have to wear masks the whole time. We do allow, like I took my group out on Monday outside for 5 minutes so they can take a mask break. The kids are only there an hour or so, but they asked for a mask break. I took them outside for 5 minutes and we went back in and finished our Legos. So it's those things that we're trying to do. And then again, with 200 kids playing sports, we're pretty busy. The only thing we're missing now for fall is the powder keg, which would have been this Saturday. Yeah. And we'll all miss it. But for those that enjoy craft beer, raise a pint and think of, in 2021, we'll be back together, hopefully having a powder keg.
Awesome. What's the attendance been like for the enrichment classes?
Well, anywhere from I think we had the lowest numbers for one of the classes is 5 up to 12 to 12, right? Or no, it was up to 14. I think Dave said for Wednesday's PE class. So and they're growing, and they're open enrollment, so people can come and sign up anytime. And we do offer scholarships. The RUN card program has generously offered $500 worth of scholarships. So anyone that can afford it, come and sign up, and the RUN program will pay for it this year.
Was this posted on Facebook or anywhere? Because I didn't know that this was going on. Did I miss?
Yeah, we shared it last week on Facebook, but we will definitely we can send out another email blast. Yeah.
Wait, Steph, you didn't know what was going on?
The enrichment. I didn't know the enrichment was happening. So this is actually really cool. But I think if we can get it or make it shareable so that we can share it out as well, we might be able to get the numbers up and get some interest, because I can see a lot of, in fact, there was a post today on the community forum of somebody that was looking for suggestions of something for her child to do to keep them active.
So we did send out 3 constant contacts to every single person in our email database.
Okay.
We also posted it on Facebook 2 or 3 times, and it was through our fall brochure, and that's what was posted. So we're happy to resend it again.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And the schools sent it out because Esther and Chris, the assistant superintendent, said they sent it out as well.
Awesome. Now, those are good numbers still. Yeah, Dan?
I was just wondering, Greg, are you looking for any high school age student volunteers to help with these programs? Because I have some kids in Student Senate that are looking for community service hours.
Yeah, we'll take volunteers. Of course, they're going to have a COVID waiver. Yep. All of our participants and volunteers need to sign a waiver. But just have them email me, and then I can assign. Especially, it would be helpful. Especially right now, we have 2 UNH students that are volunteering as well that are required to work 40 hours for us. Volunteer for 40 hours. So they're helping, being an extra set of eyes doing some of our programs, but they're only limited to Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We have Thursdays and Fridays that we could probably utilize, just having a second set of eyes if a kid has to go to the bathroom. Walk them down the bathroom. So
we just usually have such a busy fall, but this year, obviously everything's so different, but I have like 50, 60 kids that meet pretty regularly in Senate, and we're meeting this Thursday. So if you send me the schedule for it, I can just see if students are available during those times. They're itching for things to do. They're so bored.
Well, we do currently have community service projects too that they could definitely help in do park cleanups if that's a day they want to do. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
That would be awesome.
Building floats for a Halloween parade.
That's right. Ooh.
We're in.
All right. Great question, Dan. Thanks. Any other questions, guys? Yep, go ahead, Greg.
I was going to actually turn it over to Melissa to discuss, because when we're doing fall updates, we should talk about our Halloween parade. And just to emphasize for everyone watching, Parks and Rec does not set trick or treat.
Right.
We give our opinion, but we're not the final sayers of if trick or treat's a yay or nay. The select board will be discussing it on Monday, October 5th. But CDC did put out guidelines that kind of say no to trick or treat. The state said kind of yes to trick or treat. And tomorrow there's a conference call between the New Hampshire Municipal Association and DHHS that all the municipalities can call into to discuss trick or treat. But Melissa has already come up with some very cool ideas for what we can do instead of our typical Halloween parade. So I'll pass it on to Melissa.
Hang on, just chime in that in today's Foster, this afternoon at Foster's Online, they were talking about the Tri-City of Somersworth, Dover, and Rochester, and they are not recommending, they made public that they're not recommending trick-or-treating either. So
thank you, Bryn.
That has also come out recently.
That's great information. Greg, I'm going to hold off on hitting Halloween. That's okay. Yep. And we'll run through, but that's definitely a big hot topic on that one. Thanks for the insight, Bryn, too, because it's good for us to know, what the surrounding areas are based on recommendations. Are we recommending based on the CDC, Greg, for when the recommendation is made from Parks and Rec?
Well, it's a joint decision. We'll be talking with James Murray, our health officer, Eric Wilkins, our fire chief and emergency management, and then Stefan Poulin, Chief Poulin, to kind of make a recommendation to the select board, and they'll discuss it on Monday.
Perfect. All right. Winter projections.
Well, this is actually an open-ended one I put in there purposely. As you know, it's going to be difficult, cold and flu season. And I wanted to throw it out to the board if they had any thoughts or suggestions of things that we may do. Basketball may not be possible, and we know that as a fact. But there has to be, we want to offer recreational opportunities for people, and we're open to suggestions to maybe start researching it. So I'm going to throw it to the table and let you guys chime in.
What about, and I've been thinking about this too, because I knew winter is going to be an issue because we're basketball people, so we've got to think of other things as well. What about communicating with the town and finding out about the trails that we have, whether they're accessible to do snowshoeing treks and trips where you can stay distanced and you can be outside, cross country. I don't know if we have any cross country skiing trails. Maybe we can connect with maybe the golf course and see if they're open to allowing some cross country skiing outside, events, things like that. I know that those would be some safe options to keep them outside, different than the normal sport, but still active.
I was going to say the same thing, Steph. I don't know if the country club, I know if there's enough snow cover, they let people ski there.
Yeah. Oh, do they? Okay. Because I know the sledding.
But they might, that's just not an organized thing.
Right.
And we need snow.
That's a big one.
Do the schools at this point, or would they allow the recreation department to use the gymnasiums or the cafeteria so that you could potentially have a bigger space to spread out and to offer activities?
At this moment, they're not, except for the Talbot gym. So that is one possibility that they've, Esther and Chris threw that out there for when it starts to get colder this fall, if we wanted to move some of the Dave's athletic programs in there, because they all start at 3, so no one's using it. So that is a question that Coach Ball, Rusty Lister, and Dr. Ryan said to approach them later. Right now, they've created a bubble for their schools, especially the high school and middle school. So those kids are participating in athletics. That's only them. They're not allowing third parties in. So it's still a question to be answered.
Good question. And Dave, this would be probably a good opportunity for you to keep your running club going too. I mean, especially these kids that are real heavy duty into like cross country, you're starting to really like the distance running and outside running, and teaching them how to do it safely in the winter might be a good option as well.
Definitely. I think we could move all of them inside except for the Thursday trail program, but we can definitely do that outside. Just got to get your winter gear on.
Right. I had a suggestion and a thought as well. And this is, it came to me today. I'm a hardcore, hiker, outdoors person. And recently there have been so many reports about people that have been either have gone missing, hiking, or have had to be medevaced out of the trails recently as everybody is out there hiking because it's a safe thing to do. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on having a winter safety survival course that we can run through Parks and Rec. And somehow if we can connect with the AMC and get the certifications for people to get certified through the AMC as winter survival ready. I know people that I would love to suggest take the course. Anybody that thinks about hiking Tuckermans without understanding what they're hiking, they really need to take this course. I do it and I know what I'm doing, and it's frightening. I know that that's a big push, and I know it's a big push with the AMC to have people certified as well, because it's putting the rescuers at risk. And as it gets into winter months, people that don't understand what they're doing, the rescuers' lives are at risk. So I don't know what your thoughts are on doing something like that through Parks and Rec.
That's actually a great suggestion. And it's kudos. Renee Boudreau, the director of Hampton, is actually watching our meeting right now. And he actually just texted me.
Hi, Renee.
Solo is a company that will come in and do certifications. They're expensive, but he said they're worth it. So, but yeah, we can definitely look into it. I think getting as many activities outside, I think people forget when the pandemic hit, it was March. And with the mild winter we had, people could go outside immediately. Mm-hmm. All bets are off this winter. And depending on how the numbers look, we're going to try to do as much stuff outside. And I know there's one resident that reached out to me recently that wants to maybe start back up something similar to Coyote Club, which we've been trying to get back as well. So I know people like the nature-based activities. So that could be something that we could definitely offer. If we can get the proper instruction, proper certifications. So, yeah, great suggestions.
Geocaching, too, is a good outdoor activity. And it's something that potentially could be free if we created some sort of geocache scavenger hunt or a bunch of different caches out there. That would be at least something that we could promote, but that it's free and families could do.
Can you explain what that is, Bryn? Because I've never heard of that.
It's a compass. I was just going to say the same thing. It's compass based, and
by coordinates. So it's basically you're looking for usually it's a box, and you use GPS coordinates and a compass, and you go find treasure. That's cool. Which is your box. Yeah. It's fun, and you can put a bunch in a bunch of different places. Did your kids ever play the Pokemon game where they took their phone and they walked around to get pinged? It's kind of like that.
That's cool.
I think this is a good time for us to highlight how many trails Exeter has.
Yeah, it's a good it's a good pairing.
Well, I agree, but also just for hiking. If it's snowy, we can snowshoe or cross country. If it's not, we can hike. But there's a ton of trails I've been discovering in Exeter I didn't know about. And as it gets colder, fewer people are out there.
What about a dog park?
Oh, God.
Oh, geez. Bryn, who let you on this meeting?
Can we change the subject?
I'm sorry, that's not on the agenda.
Just saying.
Talk about contentious. I know. So one of the other things that I'm thinking about, all of the reports of the trash and the waste in the state parks, it would be really interesting to, sort of teach kids and families what it means to use state parks and use outside recreation. And, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. So I think that could be a really successful component of just very simple trail walks. Because, I think Mike is right. We have so many untapped resources, and there are some dog-friendly parks or dog-friendly parts of our town.
and even cleanup days. We've had a couple cleanup days on our road here, which I don't think you could go on any road in Exeter or any park in Exeter and not pick up way more trash than you would want to see. I think people would come out for that just to get outside.
Yeah, there's also like SELT. There could be some potential partnerships with SELT. And then there's other things like stargazing and, full moon type activities that we could promote that have, I'm sure there could be somebody out there, a teacher who has some sort of astronomy background that could help us.
Conservation has done that for us in the past, or will they do it as their own? But we've partnered with them, so we definitely. I know that the full moon hikes are definitely on their agenda, especially at the Rains Farm. If you haven't been out there at night on a full moon, it's actually spectacular. And like Dave just did his trail with the 5th through 8th graders. And conservation is actually providing one of their conservation commissioners to go on that know the area and familiar. So we're not just randomly sending Dave out in the middle of the woods with a bunch of kids, hoping he makes it back. So that's the good thing.
I think there's also, and you bring up a really good thing with SELT, Bryn, because I think that we could also potentially talk to some people on sustainability committee. We've got some really solid outdoor enthusiasts that understand some things that can be taught to our children young that they can carry on, and they deal with SELT quite a bit. So that would be a good collaboration there among, crossing committees between conservation, sustainability, and Parks and Rec. I think that will give us, welcome back, Val. I think that it'll give us really a good opportunity right now with some of the downtime that we've got to cross these boards and let everybody start to communicate a little bit.
Well, and actually like we were saying about the crossing, because if you're talking about hiking and you're talking about outdoor activities in this more informal way, like this is definitely what older adults like to do. Walking clubs and being out in the woods and things like that, we can't forget about that population as well. And that's exactly what folks are looking for.
Absolutely. And especially more than ever this year, I think that, we've been very lucky. Like Greg said, we've been able to be outside through this whole COVID pandemic. And once winter hits, we're going to really need to be focusing on people's mental health and physical health. But the mental health is a real concern. And if we don't find some activities that are age appropriate across the ages, we're going to run into some real issues that concern me at least. And I think in the town.
Greg and Melissa and Dave, are you guys doing anything online? Any virtual programming?
Right now, the only virtual programming we have lined up, is karate. So we will be launching our karate program again. But Dave's been talking with someone about doing other virtual stuff. We've also even looked into esports. But if anyone saw an article recently, the Rinks is actually, for their academy, is adding an esports team. So we'll definitely be open to it. But the one thing that we've all agreed, and all of you that are now have kids, and it's a lot of Zoom fatigue out there.
Yeah.
So we're trying to think outside the box, and we will do some stuff that will be virtual. But I know my daughter, after her 6 hours of Zooming, she's done as a second grader. She likes to stare at her iPad even less. So that's a good thing.
That is good.
I have a question about, can I ask about basketball? So I know that obviously gym availability would be probably the first thing that we would need to look at, but have you considered doing what you just described for flag football and soccer, where there's not necessarily games, but it's an overloaded team where they could just stay within their 10 or 12 that work, that practice together, and then they could scrimmage against each other, no parents, no grandparents, just kids? Has that, I know that that's inside, but, no matter what we do for programming, I think that you're going to find there's some people that don't want to go outside. So it was just a question.
That actually, we did have discussed that, and that is an option that we will put out there as well. And just make sure our select board is supportive of it. Because again, our goal is to get all of the Exeter kids back in school. So, but we also do know basketball is a very popular sport. So if we can get some kind of program like that, where if there is an exposure, we can, but it will be a limited spaces depending on how much gym availability we have. We've already talked, and all of you have been through the program. Main Street School is probably out because that is just not conducive for social distancing. Lincoln Street is big enough if they allow us in there in the evenings, most likely because of how the youth sports guidelines are. We couldn't have back-to-back practices. So it would be one team on one court, one team on another court, separated, and that's it. So it's only going to be a limited amount of people that can do it. And then Saturdays, we could probably do it where it would need to be an hour and a half. And then we need to talk with the school to see if it's even possible to then run another program after it, because you're supposed to have time in between teams coming and going to sanitize everything. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of logistics to go into it, but we are definitely considering that as an option, Jen.
Have we talked to Peter Marr at the Rims as well? Because I know that I know the one thing they did last year, they did get a fogger in there so that they were able to go game to game with a shorter intermission in between. It's if you're not familiar with the fogger, it just basically blasts the entire space. It's like a fog that instantly disintegrates, and it is incredibly effective in sanitizing. Have we talked to them at least about what they're doing with their leagues? Because I know that they have leagues going on right now. That is, and thus far, I talked to him not too long ago. They haven't had any issues. So maybe if we can connect and find out what they're doing, how they're managing it, and how they're sanitizing and taking care of stuff between, maybe it can give us some ideas of how we can do that. Because I love that idea, Jen, to be able to do like we're doing with soccer, skills and drills and scrimmages. It's been working great. It's not the same, but the kids are getting a lot out of it. We
are purchasing a fogger ourselves for our department because if we're doing inside programs, mm-hmm. It's technically a hydrostatic sprayer. It's not a fogger. So I have it on order. It should be here by the end of October. That's awesome. So, but the Ribs did reach out to us as well. But at that time, Dave and I were like, we can't commit to anything, not knowing what the numbers were. Right. So they are soliciting teams now and setting up as a go-to. What's the feeling of the board here on a normal, typical basketball season? Because the Rims would be a typical basketball season.
I think you were correct that we need to focus on getting our kids back in school. Right. When you go to the Rims, I like the place. My kids have played there, but you're introducing a whole other population that's a whole other can of worms, in my opinion. Right.
I agree. I was actually going to ask if bowling would be an option.
What is that? Oh, bowling.
Yeah, with Rob.
That's not a bad suggestion at all, is if there's a way that you can sanitize. There's a lot of contact there. If everybody brings their own ball or like is assigned a ball.
Yeah, no, Steph, Rob, actually, they have a very strict set of guidelines for bowling alleys.
Yeah.
And Rob is he was actually, in speaking with them before they were allowed to open, he was definitely giving a lot of feedback of how, and Rob is doing it correctly over there at the Exeter bowling lane. So he is up and running. And that's something we've always tried to partner with him. But this could be a year where we need to do more of these individual sports like bowling indoors. And Rob would definitely be open for the challenge of doing a nice youth or family bowling league if you want to get the whole family out there. So great suggestion, Molly.
That's a great idea, Molly. Yeah, thank you.
Something to consider just in terms of basketball might be a model like what Seacoast is doing right now with the like U8 and U10 leagues, which is you can register as a team. So you can kind of control your bubble a little bit. And so rather than just registering and we put you on a team, if there's like a group of people that have been sort of like, bubbling together, you register as a team, and then you're basically just like renting the space for your group to come and scrimmage and do skills and drills. So I don't know if we could do something like that where now it's like, all right, I know these 10 families and, we've been sort of like hanging out together and we sort of trust each other's protocols and everything. And now you form a team and you scrimmage each other, you do skills and drills, and it's a way to keep, the season alive in some form or fashion.
That's a really creative idea, Dan. I like that a lot.
We'll call them quarantines.
Well, and it can be done with other activities too. It doesn't just have to be done with basketball.
It's a really good idea. Because, that's what we're doing with school right now. We've got that going on with school, and it's the people, you're right, that you're comfortable with, and that, where to contact trace back to if, God forbid, something happens.
And, the whole like competitive advantage, disadvantage goes out the window because you're only scrimmaging each other anyway. So like, who cares if you stack your team? You're just playing against yourselves.
I like that. It's a good idea. Any other suggestions, guys? Any other thoughts? And we can keep them coming. We can, email Greg and Melissa and Dave as we come up with things.
The other thing I just want to keep commenting about Dan's idea is then that's also the parents are the coaches.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to find a bunch of coaches.
Right.
So and then parents can also come and watch the games because it's all the same bubble, and you wouldn't have to then say no parents can come in or 2 tickets, yada, yada, yada. So as that idea unfolds, it feels even more fruitful.
Good idea. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? This is a really good start, guys. And we're going to be doing our monthly meeting now. After this, we took a little break because things got a little crazy. There was a lot more pressing priorities. But now this is something that really is a priority, making sure that we get some winter activities and wellness going on in the community.
Steph, one thing that I have reached out to the SAU. One thing we talked about is the social emotional health of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Russ and I had been spitballing, trying to figure out a way to do a support group for parents. Mm-hmm. This is a struggling time for some parents, especially if they're single parent, some kind of support group, because the social emotional health of the family is just as important. So if mom, dad, the guardian, or anyone is coming apart at the seams, how can we get them the help they need or the support they need, knowing that we want everyone in the community to be healthy. So that I have an email out. It's just a preliminary, but it's something that we've been thinking about.
That's great. I love that thought process. And Melissa, was it you that had put out something? There was a talk coming up, like an anxiety or something to do with families and things going on. Did you want to touch base? Was that something through? Okay.
That's okay. That's happening through my school district, but it's open to whomever. So my school district actually is partnering with, or got a grant through the Newburyport Youth Services, which is basically the Newburyport Parks and Rec Department. And they service about 3 or 4 different school districts in the North Shore of Mass. And they have a whole bunch of talks coming up that are virtual that parents can log on to. Stress, social emotional needs, how to support your remote learner. I can certainly send those all out to everybody, but they are open to whomever. And I do think that if we're able to partner with a few other organizations to put some of those on, that would be really great.
Because those would be virtual, and the kids wouldn't be on them. It would be more for the parents that haven't been zoomed out during the day, but maybe putting together like a talk series where, every week or every few weeks, there's something different on the agenda to talk about that, parents can schedule time to sit on it and have not be so long, but just long enough to give tips and give ideas of how to manage the environment right now for families. I know what your thoughts are on that. All right. Great ideas, guys. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion on any of the program updates, guys, before we move to project updates? Nope. All right. So let's move on to project updates. Gilman Park Pavilion painting. How's that going, guys?
That is scheduled for another week in October. 5-star painting. Off the top of my head, I believe that's the name of the company that got it. Will be the final piece that we need to complete the pavilion. We're going to furnish it next spring when we have a little bit more revenue, some picnic tables. But it came out great. If you've been down to Gilman Park, it's beautiful. It's just going to be a nice centerpiece for it. So that was one of the things, the final pieces that we needed to do. But it's hard to schedule a painting contractor when the delay in construction of it just kept getting delayed due to supply chain issues. And Mike, he can probably attest to that. The construction field is crazy right now where it's hard to get some materials. So, and then getting replacements for damaged parts that came in took even more time. So we're happy to announce that it's almost done.
Awesome. That's perfect timing too.
Yeah.
What about the Gale Park Walkway, Reno? How's that going?
That actually, I had an RFP put out in August. I have gotten 4 quotes so far, so I will be writing a memo to the select board to be in October 5th packet, and hopefully with their approval, we can get this done before Veterans Day, which is outstanding. And what we're suggesting is the path, if everyone's been to Gale Park and know where Gale Park is, the whole path's been overgrown with weeds. So we're going to be digging it down 6 inches, putting a crushed gravel down, and then a stabilized stone dust with edging of granite pavers. We already have some granite pavers there that will be reused. And this stuff is phenomenal. Harvard just put it in, and some walkways. There's City of Concord, Mass put it in around some of their historical sites. So it prevents weeds from growing through, but it has the feel of stone dust, and it's going to be a quality product that really will make that monument pop and edge everything out. So that's the first step of bringing back that glorious park.
That's awesome. That's great. Anybody have any questions on the project updates for Greg, Melissa, or Dave before we move on? Nope. All right. Moving right along. Events updates. I know that movies are something being discussed right now. So I'm going to touch base on that, guys.
Yep.
Sure.
Go ahead, Melissa. You go first. You go.
So like Greg said, we had a really successful summer movie series. We averaged about 30 cars a night, which was fantastic. So we had upwards of 40, and I think our lowest one was 20. We just had one this past Saturday with 20 people. We did for the fall pivot a little bit because all summer long, all of the movies couldn't start till almost 9 o'clock at night because of just the sunlight. So we provided older movies, kids, things for adults and tweens and teens. And this fall, we really brought the age limit way, way down to young kids so that they could get a chance to participate. We're talking like Disney Princess, Princess and the Frog, and then Hotel Transylvania. And that allowed us, and it was so different and so fun to see all the families running around appropriately, but to really enjoy. I mean, there were little kids 5 and 6 years old in the back of the pickup truck, and we just couldn't have that this summer because most of the kids, by the time the movie started, they were like 2 hours already in bed. So it was really fun. So October 17th is our next one, which will be Hotel Transylvania. And we are asking anybody that comes to dress up in their Halloween costume. So come on down, and we're partnering with Shooter's Pub to do pizzas again, and it should be a good time. I know for those of us that are parents, my kids still wanted a Halloween costume this year, no matter what was going to happen. So the more chances we can offer them to wear them and do some things, the better. So wearing those for that. We have 2 other Halloween events. We felt like no matter what happens with trick-or-treating, we wanted to have some backup plans for people. So the first thing we have going on is a scarecrow contest. And Greg came up with the idea through some of the other local communities that do this as a fundraiser for, different organizations. And he partnered with Exeter Lumber. And they're providing the lumber to make basically a big X. And then you get the frame and you get a burlap bag. And the rest you have to decide of what you want your scarecrow to look like. And we're trying to decorate the whole town. So we encourage everybody to come on down. I can't even remember what the price is. I apologize. Today was a whirlwind. Was it 15, Greg? 15. And that helps offset a little bit of the costs and administrative work. And we would like to sprinkle the town full of scarecrows. They have to be appropriate. But, we want you to send us a picture. We can post them on Facebook. We can even put a little map together if we get enough people interested so people can drive through and see all the scarecrows. The final thing that we're doing is actually on Halloween, on Saturday of Halloween. I said this is the one time we're going to work on Halloween when there's a pandemic. But we're going to do our reverse parade like we did with the bunny parade. And we're going to drive through town and we're going to create 2 to 3 floats. If I can get Dan's people to do another float, that would be 3 because we would love that. So we're going to do a pumpkin patch and a graveyard. We're doing very generic so that we can ask, we've already sent an email out looking for board members to dress up in costume to be in the back of the pickup trucks, waving to the kids. We're going to have our wireless speakers going with Halloween music. We are not allowed to throw out candy because that's not allowed with parades and that kind of stuff, but just trying to celebrate the day. And again, inviting everybody to come out and watch it in their costume. So as a whale beast, it's going to be about 4 hours, we think, from 12 to 4 is what we're thinking. We're starting at 12. Police is going to let us lead the parade. Fire is going to let us use the antique fire truck. And then we're going to pull our 2 landscape trailers that will be decorated in floats. And like I said, Dan, if we can figure out a way to add another float from the high school kids, that'd be amazing.
We would love to do that.
Okay, that'd be so awesome. We would love that. So we need people in costume, and that's why our 2 floats are generic, so that we can throw Elmo and the Grim Reaper on, the back of any pickup trucks or whatever people are, Cookie Monster, whatever, and wave to the kids and just trying to get them cheered up and pumped up. And maybe families will, gather in their yards where maybe that is their COVID bubble, and just trying to celebrate and have something fun to look forward to on that actual day. So we're pretty excited about it. I usually have a very large Halloween party every year, and all of my decorations are coming to work. My kids are not happy with me, but we'll have a very we'll take any decorations because we have this much of a budget. So we're going to get real creative this year.
We have a ton, which Nico will be psyched to get rid of because I decked that. And
you can have them back. Yeah, so we're pretty excited. So if you guys have any ideas, Dan, let's definitely chat offline if the high school kids can create a float for us. The one thing I'm going to say, and I want to say this publicly, and we can't go to every street. And that is very sad. And we're going to do our very, very best to make sure that the route that we pick hits enough places where people may be able to take like a 1-minute walk and not gather inappropriately. We're trying really hard. But Exeter has some really far out locations. And so we haven't finalized the map yet. We encourage people to email us. And if we can put their address on, we are going to try really, 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 really hard because we know that it could be sad for a family if they miss it. But at the end of the day, it would take us like 8 hours to get down every street. And it just isn't possible. So we're going to do our very best instead. So that's what we have going on for Halloween. I know we're going to have to chat about Christmas eventually, but we'll deal with that on another meeting.
Can we double back real quick to the scarecrow? Because I'm a third grade teacher at Lincoln Street School, and one of what I consider a rite of passage at Lincoln Street School is our cornfield characters. And I really want to do it. So can you just repeat one more time? And I'm sorry, Melissa, when do you plan on doing that?
So are we in conflict with you guys or you want to participate? Sorry.
I don't know. I'm just, I'm hearing you say that because I'm not sure if we typically, I don't know if you know what it is, Melissa, but the kids they do scarecrows. They make these cornfield characters. It can be anything. I mean, people do cardboard Minecraft or they do witches or they do little piglet farms out of pumpkins that they paint. And it's just something that we've always done on the grounds of Lincoln Street School on the Friday before Halloween. It's the third graders that are the only ones who do it. Main Street would parade up in their costumes and it's a big community thing that's been going on for many, many years. And in our orientation, we had some families that they didn't care about if they were getting Chromebooks or what the Zoom schedule was. They were like, are we doing cornfield characters? And, I know Molly has a third grader and I just really don't want them to miss out on that. So I'm just sort of thinking out loud how,
Sure, so maybe we can chat after but I'll go over the details again, but let's chat because if there's a way for us to bring the school in, that would be really fantastic. And it doesn't have to be just a scarecrow. I mean, our project is just a scarecrow, which is that was what we had. But maybe we can figure something out or maybe we can but so anyway, starting October 1st, families can come and so you can register now if you'd like. Right. And for $15, you get the frame, which is just, a wooden X and you get a burlap bag. And basically we're putting it in the hands of everybody. Be creative. Tell us a story. Tell us something cool, something about your family or just something fun. It doesn't matter. Make something basically from nothing and then let us share that with the community, whether that's if we're able to put a map together, we just don't know how many people will participate. Can we do that? I mean, so we can chat. Definitely email me and we'll talk more. But I think it would be fun to partner with the school if there's any way for us to do that.
And I would love to. I'm going to share my screen in a second, but give you an example. This is actually, if I get this, all right, share. All right. This is Chester's website. So this is on YouTube. We're not going to watch all of it, so.
Greg, there's no sound with the
Yeah, should we
video.
be hearing something here?
You have to share the
share it. Sorry.
share the audio. There's a little checkbox when you do the share screen.
All right, hold on. Sorry.
I don't see anything about scarecrows.
Yeah, hold on.
I saw an ape. For like 2 seconds, there was an ape.
I see a car tire.
Epping does the scarecrow thing as well, where you have
it doesn't need volume. He's kind of just talking. So let me just go through here. Just give you a couple examples. These are Chesters. So it doesn't have to be anything. And anyone that likes TV programs, you'll see there's themes. Sometimes they'll come out and do themes. So Chester has over 500 people participating in theirs every year. And there's been some interesting ones that me and my wife chuckle at.
We're also going to allow people that live in apartments or don't have a place to put a scarecrow. We have some locations that we will be able to put some up, or people can put some up. Sorry, Steph, to interrupt you. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just wondering, what was the date on that, Melissa and Greg?
So it's for the whole month of October, but starting October 1st, you can pick up your kits. I apologize that I don't have it in front of me. I did walk out without my thing to remember what the deadline. I want to say you have to register by the 15th, I think it is, halfway through the month. And then there'll be prizes and all that kind of stuff too. That's another thing that the cost offsets. So we'd like to, trophy prize for, some of the scarecrows, but, everybody's looking for something to do with those fall leaves, right?
Mm-hmm. Can people register would it make it easier for you guys if people registered as a neighborhood? For example, like I know that prizes or judging would be, but like I know our neighborhood is totally into doing whatever we love just getting involved in doing stuff. It's really a great neighborhood like that. Like, could we register it as a neighborhood?
So we haven't determined the prize categories, but maybe one of our categories is neighborhood, right? So neighborhood theme or neighborhood, something like that. And we can definitely put that out there.
And my second question is, how do people register and get their name out there to get the supplies so that we can let people know?
Sure. They can call our office and register. And then once the supplies come in, which is October, we'll have them ready for pickup October 1st. They can go online and register online. It's under the Scarecrow contest, and just tell us how many scarecrows they want. And we will have the frames and the burlap bags ready in our office for pickup.
Okay. So no going to Exeter Lumber, right? It's all just
we're going to have everything at Parks and Rec, nice and easy.
Perfect. And another question I can see people getting is, if they call to put the registration fee in, do they have to use the cross in the burlap bag? Does that have to be used, or can they use something else?
So what we had done is they have to use that in some way, right? To make it so that everything is similar. What they do with that, go to town. But the concept would be that they have to use the frame and the burlap bag in some way. Do what you want with it, though.
All right. Any other questions, guys, on Halloween or this event? I love these. They're great. Thank you for thinking of these. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, for given that we have such restrictions. Any questions? Are there any comments? Anything on upcoming? Let Melissa and Greg know if you are interested in being on the floats. I know Bryn already did, and I know we already did. We are ready to go. I've got one kid that will do it, the other will not, which is okay. I know, unless I let him be a baseball player, which I could, but anyways. So let them know so that we can get those going. It'd be a lot of fun to do, guys. CIP update. What do we have going on for that?
We only have one thing in the CIP this year, and I can also touch on. We'll do that old business. So we have the park improvement plan. It is funded, submitted to the select board, and then it's going to the budget committee on tomorrow night for $43,000. It's less than $100,000, but that we have a plan So it's not the full $100,000, but we can get by, especially in this tough economic time. So we're gonna go with it.
Awesome. Any questions on CIP, guys? I figured it would be light this year. Nope. Old business. I don't know if you wanted to touch base a little further on the Planet Playground question that came up earlier.
Yeah. So one of the things that we were informed when we actually applied for a grant back this spring when the pandemic hit, the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, which actually got permanently authorized by the president this past summer, which was a surprise to a lot of our Parks and Rec professionals around the country, because in years past, it's always been trying to be defunded. So they want to allocate that oil money to something else. So we are applying for a $300,000 grant to help offset quite a bit of the cost. But the one caveat with that, and it's almost 8:30 and we can hear the cat, is the lease that we had originally agreed that we could probably move forward with was a 30-year lease. LWCF requires it to be either in perpetuity, which is forever, or we need to purchase it. So I've been going back and forth with the lawyer in Ohio to try to get an answer from the owner. And it's been just back and forth. So there's not much, but we're still applying for it. The state has really said, no, keep going, because last round of LWCF, they didn't have enough applicants. This round they do, but having spoken to them, they're worried that a lot of people will not apply, or will end up not applying at the end when they realize they may not have funding for it. And that's why they're encouraging us. So that way we can say when we go forward that, look, we have $300,000 out of the X amount of dollars to replace Planet Playground. So that is where we are in that project. So we'd like to keep it where it is, because I think we all agree it's a good spot, but
great spot.
Got to work out the details.
Awesome. Well, keep us posted. Next meeting, we can touch base on that. You can go feed the cat if you need to. Any other old business that anybody wants to discuss?
Steph, if I could, I had missed one thing on the winter projections here. Sure. We are planning on doing our ski program with partnering with Gunstock. The only major difference would be is that we're not providing transportation in our vans.
Okay.
Kind of obvious. So anyone out there watching, ski families, we are planning on doing that. And basically what it is you can get huge discounted ski passes for the kids. And then what we would likely do is just meet families up there for our scheduled lesson days. The lessons aren't mandatory. They're definitely recommended. They're included. So, why not? But we are planning on doing that this winter as well.
That's awesome. Do you know what days, are you keeping the same days as last year?
So they have a first session and a second session. Last year we did the second. We're sticking with that. So I believe it's like the first week in February to like mid-March. And we did Wednesdays as our lesson days. But with a season pass, you can go whenever you want.
That's awesome. That's great. And when did those become available?
So I just sent in the form, group form to Gunstock. So hopefully like within the next month or so, obviously before like the mountain opens, we'd like to have everything lined up so families could just go up and get their picture taken, get their passes. And then, like I said, come February will be those lessons that are included.
And the governor actually just signed.
Thank you, Dave. Did you have something, Greg, that you want to add?
Yeah, the governor just signed or will be signing guidelines for ski resorts.
Okay.
Because he had putting guidelines out there, and having read the press release, a lot of ski resorts are being very inventive. So anyone that signs up needs to realize that they won't have access to the lodge. So they said your car will be your locker room, will be your lunch room, unless they have the patio heaters outside. But they're really trying to do it because there will be limited capacity allowed inside. So for those skiing, and masks will be required.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you, Dave, for that. Thanks, Greg.
No problem.
How about any new business? Anything that I think we touched on so much tonight? Anybody have any new business they wanted to bring up that we haven't touched on? All right. I have one thing to say. I have been down to Parks and Rec, down to our fields, and I'm very impressed. I know it was touch base on last night as well. You guys have done an awesome job with your signage. You've done a great job with making it known what the expectations are from anybody participating in any of the sports, not just within Exeter Parks and Rec, but EYSA. Everybody's wearing masks. Those of us coaching, we were wearing masks the whole time. It's really, you guys have made it known what the expectations are, and people are following it down there. So thank you so much for putting the guidelines out there and really sticking with it and enforcing the importance of sticking with it. And I love how you did it in a real child appropriate way as well, because as we know, not only the kids need that, but some adults need that as well. But it was done in a very unintimidating, unthreatening way for kids that are down there, and the kids have been great. Adults have been great. Parents picking up have been fantastic. So anybody watching that's also participating in any of the sports that are available right now, thank you from the bottom of our heart from Parks and Rec. We couldn't ask for more than for you just to support the safety of the town like you've been doing, and allowing us to keep these things available for the town. Molly, did you have anything you wanted to say? Oh, you look like you had a thought there. Okay, my bad. So with that being said, look at that, 1 hour and 15 minutes. Boom. Well done, everybody. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Nobody? You want to stay on longer?
Adjourn.
You're done, Wood. A second, please.
Second.